In 2023, an armed suspect shot an NYPD officer. Standing over the wounded cop, the suspect aimed to finish the job and pull the trigger. Click. Under extreme adrenaline, the suspect had squeezed his pistol so hard he crushed the magazine release, dumping his ammo onto the street. His gun became a useless brick. That stress-induced death grip saved a hero's life. But what if that involuntary panic grip happens to you? Today we're exposing 5 hidden failure points that will jam your gun under real-world stress. Watch to the end and I guarantee your gun goes bang, not click. Number 5. The seatbelt snag. A 3 o'clock carry or an appendix setup feels perfect when you're walking through a grocery store. Your cover garment hangs loose, your hand finds the grip in half a second, no problems at all. Now picture the same setup the moment you sit down and buckle in. Your body folds at the waist, your shirt bunches up, and that easy access you had standing up just got a lot more complicated. Here's the part nobody thinks about. Ambushes love transitional spaces. Parking lots, driveways, gas stations, the seconds right before or after you get into your car. If trouble starts while you're strapped into a seatbelt, you are now trying to do 2 things with one hand at the same time. Clear a heavy cover garment and unclip a belt that's pinning you down. That combination is a recipe for disaster. The fabric gets dragged right into the holster opening, or it snags on the rear sight, and now your gun is trapped under your own shirt while you're still buckled to your seat. The fix is simple, but most people skip it. When you're driving, untuck your cover garment so it sits over the seatbelt instead of under it. That alone removes most of the snag risk. And don't just assume your standing draw works sitting down. Practice a seated draw specifically, with the belt on, so your hands already know the path before your brain has to think about it. This is exactly why instructors are now building entire drills around the car. Carjackings, robberies, and ambush-style attacks happen in driveways and parking lots far more than people want to admit, simply because that's where your guard is lowest and your gear is hardest to access. A smart habit is to use your support hand to clear the seatbelt and pull the garment out of the way first, while your strong hand stays free and close to the grip the whole time. 2 hands, 2 separate jobs, instead of one hand trying to do everything at once while you're pinned to a seat. Number 4. The death grip drop. The hottest trend in concealed carry right now is the high-capacity micro-compact. Manufacturers are squeezing more rounds into smaller, thinner guns, and to make that grip even easier to reach, a lot of these pistols ship with an extended magazine release. Sounds great on paper, here's where it falls apart. The moment your brain registers a real threat, adrenaline takes over and your hand does something it never does at the range. It clamps down on what trainers call a death grip. For anyone with average-sized hands or bigger, that crushing grip lands the base of your thumb directly on top of that extended release button. You fire 1 round under total stress, your thumb is pressing the whole time, and the magazine drops just a single millimeter. That's all it takes. The gun can't feed the second round, and now you're standing there with a pistol that just turned into a single-shot weapon at the worst possible second. The fix starts with testing your actual grip under some kind of simulated stress, not a relaxed bench session. If you notice your thumb resting heavily on that release, swap it for a lower profile magazine catch or retrain your grip so your thumb sits somewhere else entirely. Small adjustment, massive difference when it counts. People who study performance under stress will tell you the same thing over and over. Your grip strength under real fear is nothing like your grip strength on a calm Tuesday at the range. The extra crushing force is great for keeping the gun steady, but terrible if it's parked right on top of a button designed to release the magazine. The smaller and thinner the grip, the closer your thumb naturally sits to that release, which is exactly why this problem is showing up more now than it did with bulkier guns from years ago. Quick gut check before we keep going. If this is showing you stuff your last training class never covered, go ahead and hit subscribe so the next one lands in your feed automatically. Number 3. The belt bind. Almost everyone tests their draw the same way, standing still, relaxed, good posture, maybe checking the mirror to see how clean it looks. That test tells you almost nothing about a real fight. In an actual attack, you're rarely standing calm and upright. You're stepping backward, twisting away, maybe even grappling with another person. Now think about what your gear is doing during all that movement. If your belt is soft and floppy, the violent upward pull of an emergency draw drags the belt right along with the gun. That shift changes the angle the holster is sitting at, which changes the angle of the kydex retention around the trigger guard. The result is a gun that binds inside its own holster, stuck to your waist exactly when you need it free. This is why your belt deserves just as much attention as the holster itself. A proper reinforced gun belt is built to handle real weight and resist folding under pressure, so the holster stays locked in one position no matter how much your body is twisting and turning around. Spend the money here. A flimsy belt under a great holster is still a system that can fail you. A regular fashion belt is built to hold up a pair of pants, nothing more. A real gun belt is stiffened, often with 2 layers stitched together or a core that resists bending, so it acts more like a rigid platform than a piece of cloth. If you want to actually test yours, don't just draw standing still, try drawing while stepping backward, while seated, even from the ground. If the belt rolls, twists, or lifts during any of that, you've found a weak link before a real fight ever has the chance to expose it for you. Number 2. The sludge click. A gun you carry every day lives a rough life. It's collecting lint from your waistband, dead skin, dust, all of it working its way toward the moving parts inside. The most common response to this is over-lubricating the striker channel, trying to flush out the grime with more oil. Here's the catch: oil and lint don't cancel each other out. They combine into a thick sludge. Give that sludge a little cold weather or a few months to build up, and it starts physically slowing down the striker as it tries to move forward. Instead of a sharp, full-force strike on the primer, you get a soft, weak tap. You pull the trigger expecting a bang, and you get a dead click instead, at the exact moment you needed the gun to work without question. The fix is almost too easy to believe. That striker channel should be kept completely dry, no oil at all. Next time you field strip your carry gun, grab a Q-tip and make sure there is 0 residual lubricant left inside that channel. Dry there, lubricate everywhere else that actually needs it. This problem hits compact striker-fired pistols especially hard, since their internal tolerances are tighter than older, bulkier hammer-fired guns, leaving less room for grime to build up before it actually affects function. If you carry the same gun every day, treat a real cleaning, not just a quick wipe down, as a monthly habit instead of something you only do after a range trip. A gun that looks clean on the outside can still be hiding a problem you'll only discover the hard way. Number 1. The ammo time bomb. This is the one that quietly builds over months without you ever noticing, and it's the reason it tops this list. A lot of carriers unload their gun every night and rechamber the same hollow point round the next morning. It feels responsible, it's actually setting a trap. Every single time that same round gets shoved into the chamber, the bullet slams against the feed ramp. That impact slowly pushes the projectile a tiny bit deeper into the brass casing. This is called bullet setback, and it shrinks the amount of space left inside the case for powder gases to expand into. Fire that same round enough times, and the internal pressure when it finally goes off spikes far beyond what that round was ever designed to handle. That kind of pressure spike can blow out the extractor, bulge the barrel, or completely lock the slide in place on the very first shot. The gun you trusted with your life just became dead weight in your hand during the single worst moment to find out. The fix takes 30 seconds and costs you nothing but a little discipline. Rotate your carry ammunition regularly. Once a round has been chambered and unchambered more than twice, pull it out of rotation and send it to your training bin instead. Simple habit, and it closes off the most dangerous failure point on this entire list. Plenty of carriers don't even know this is happening because the round looks completely normal from the outside. There's no dent, no visible warning sign, nothing to make you stop and question it. A simple trick a lot of experienced carriers use is marking the base of each round with a tiny dot from a permanent marker every time it gets chambered. 2 dots and that round is done, no exceptions. It costs you nothing and it permanently removes the one failure point on this list that builds quietly, invisibly, until the exact second you need the gun to work without hesitation. That's the thing about the 1% rule. None of these 5 problems show up while you're standing around at the range feeling confident. They show up under pressure, under movement, under stress. In the one moment you can't afford a do-over. Fix them now while it costs you nothing instead of finding out the hard way. Go hit subscribe on Guns You Can't Live Without because the next video covering exactly what to do about it is already waiting for you.